Hi everyone, this is Emil, and in this video I'm going to show you how to add new elements into the photo using masks in Image Blender. And in order to do this, let me first start by importing the background image. So I'm going to tap at the bottom left hand corner, select an image from library, and I'm going to use this sunset image over here. Now let me just start by saying that if you want to add new elements into a photo in Blender, it's much easier to do with black and white photos. You can also do it with color photos, but in general you will have to do a lot more work there. You'll really have to make sure that the masks are extremely precise, whereas if you pick black and white photos, it's a lot easier to add new elements into the photo. So we'll just do that in this tutorial. Okay, to briefly talk about this image, it's an interesting sunset photo. I did some basic adjustments here in Snapseed. I think I increased ambience, then went to the black and white module, and I just made sure that the brightness and the contrast are adjusted so that the sky looks interesting. And this image is currently a little bit empty on the top right hand side. You have the silhouette figure at the bottom left, but the top right hand side is kind of empty. So let me see if I can add something interesting to this. And you know, I think I could add some birds to this image. And now, to be honest with you, if you're going to add birds to the image, keep in mind that birds are a little bit cliche. A lot of people have overused them already. So if you want to do something really original and unique, you probably don't want to add birds. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we'll just do birds because they will work well in this image. I know it's going to look good, but perhaps the result will be a little bit cliche. So let me tap at the bottom right hand corner so that we can import another image which is going to contain the birds. And we'll select library. And here I'm going to find an image that has birds in it. So that's going to be this image. Okay, and just to briefly talk about this image right here, I've also done some basic adjustments in Snapseed. Most importantly, I increased brightness, no, actually I decreased brightness and increased contrast, just so that the silhouettes of the birds are even more pronounced. And if you're struggling to find elements that are easy to insert into another photo, try working with silhouettes. In general, silhouettes are very easy to work with, both for multi-exposures and just for adding new elements into the scene. Now, this image has a lot more than just the birds, but I'm not going to use any of the other stuff. So let me go to Masks by tapping the pencil icon at the top. And here I'm just going to erase most of the masks so that only the birds are left in. And let me select the other masking tool at the bottom. Okay, and here I'm just going to cut out everything but the birds. And it's going to take a little bit of time here because obviously I don't want to make any mistakes. I want to be precise. So bear with me for a second. And yeah, so what I can keep doing here is keep zooming in more and more until really the adjustment gets more and more precise. Now, if you were working with a color photo, at this point you would really have to get very, very precise, and you would have to get this right until the tiniest detail, because otherwise, once you apply this other image, it just wouldn't look right in terms of colors. But since we have black and white photo, we have a little bit more leeway here. And the only thing we really want to make sure is that the edges of the mask aren't sharp as we have them now. So in order to make the edges smooth, I'm going to tap at the circle at the bottom and turn on the Smooth Edge tool. And now I can just make the edges a bit smoother and keep doing adjustments with my finger like so. And if at any point I make a mistake, so let's say I accidentally did this, I can just tap and hold anywhere inside the mask, and there's an undo button. If I tap and hold again, there's both undo and redo. So there's just something that you should know about. Okay, so let me keep working on this mask. And I'm probably going to fast forward the video at this point, just so that we don't waste any time here. And yeah, once the mask is done, we'll move on to the next steps. Okay, at this point the mask is done. You can see that the edges are no longer sharp, and I've erased everything except the birds and the areas immediately around them. So let me tap on OK now. And here you can see what the image looks like with the mask applied. Now you can still use the opacity slider and that just affects how much of the mask you see. But in most cases, you'll probably just leave it at 100%, because that way the top layer will be fully displayed. And that's obviously the kind of look you want if you want to make sure that this looks realistic. Now, what you also want to do here is use the Arrange tool, so that's the arrows at the top. And what the Arrange tool allows you to do is to just move these birds around, perhaps rotate them a bit with using 2 fingers until you find a position where they really look good. And for this image, I think I don't want to make them too big, because obviously you can't have birds like this, that just wouldn't be natural. So I want to make them more or less naturally sized, and I'll make them a bit rotated onto something like this, because I think it looks really, really interesting. And finally, let me just adjust the position so that this fits nicely with the composition, and I think something like this would potentially work great, because this sort of makes the image more balanced diagonally, as we have the silhouette of the woman at the bottom left, and now we have the birds at the top right. And remember that the top right part of the image was the part of the image that was empty beforehand. So I think this looks pretty good, so I'm gonna tap the OK mark, and now you can see where we've put the birds. Now finally, if you zoom in a bit, you'll notice that the areas around the birds don't really look right. You can sort of see that we didn't cut out the birds precisely in the masking tool. So what we can do here is go to blending modes by selecting the layers icon at the top, and just go through the different blending modes to see if that helps fix the issue. So there are a lot of options right here, and actually I happen to know that darken blending mode will fix this issue. So now if we tap the blending modes icon at the top again, we can see this image with the blending modes corrected. And finally, I think I'm gonna just go to Arrange one last time, and perhaps make the birds a little bit smaller, because at the second look I think that they're a little bit too big still, which might not look natural. And whenever you add artificial elements into the scene, you want to make sure that they look natural, because if it just looks like you copy-pasted birds into the image, then that's not gonna look good. So let me go to Arrange tool, and I'll just make the birds a tiny bit smaller, and I'll position them somewhere around here. I think will be good. And I think I'm happy with the results. So now I'm just going to save my progress using the save icon at the top right, share this image to camera roll, and the image is saved. So now I can start on a clean project, or I can continue working on this same project by pressing no. And what I would then do, if I wanted to add even more elements from a different image, is I would tap and hold anywhere inside the image. I would use the flatten. And now everything we've done so far is in the background layer, and we could add another image to the foreground if we wanted to. So this way you can just keep stacking on more and more elements onto the same composition. Okay, so that concludes this tutorial. I hope you like it, and please let me know if you have any questions or comments by leaving a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.